Hello everyone. Today we are going to see about the Unit 3 continuation part. In this topic we are going to see about the laser diode rate equations, its resonant frequencies and also their structures and radiation patterns. Laser diode rate equations. So the relationship between an optical output power and the diode drive current can be determined by examining the rate equations that govern an interaction of photons and electrons in an active region. So the total carrier population is determined by carrier injection, spontaneous recombination and stimulated emission. So for a PN junction with a carrier confinement region of depth D, the rate equations are given as in terms of number of photons as d phi by dt is equal to gm5 plus rsp minus phi by tau ph. So that is equal to stimulated emission plus spontaneous emission plus photon loss. That is dn by dt is equal to minus gm5 minus n by tau r plus j by qd. That is equal to stimulated emission plus recombination plus injection, where phi is the number of photons per unit volume, that is photon density, and n is the number of electrons per unit volume, that is carrier density. Gm is the net rate of stimulated emission, rsp is the spontaneous emission rate, and tau ph is equal to photon lifetime, that is equal to 1 divided by Vg alpha cavity comma alpha cavity, that is equal to cavity loss. Alpha cavity is equal to alpha internal plus alpha MTR comma alpha internal, that is equal to absorption loss. Alpha MTR is equal to mirror loss. So J is the current per unit area and Vg is the group velocity of the light. Tau R is the combined time constant coming from a spontaneous and non-radiative recombination mechanisms. So that is D is equal to thickness of active layer, Q is equal to electron charge. So next one is the empirical relation between the gain coefficient Gm and carrier density N is Gm is equal to tau G into N minus N naught. So the net rate of a stimulated emission Gm is given by Gm is equal to confinement Vg Gm, that is equal to confinement Vg into tau G into N minus N naught. So confinement is equal to optical field confinement factor, that is equal to fraction of optical power in the active layer. So under the steady state conditions, we can set the time derivatives in both the equations to 0. So that solution will take the simple form if we neglect the spontaneous emission by setting RSP is equal to 0. So below the threshold, the number of photons is negligibly small, that is phi is equivalent to 0, and the threshold current density JTH need to have the population inversion level carrier density NTH in steady state is given by NTH by tau R is equal to JTH by QD. So just above the threshold, the rate equations under steady state conditions become 0 is equal to Gm phi minus phi by tau ph, that is equivalent to G equal to 1 by tau ph. So 0 is equal to minus Gm pi minus NTH by tau R plus J by QD, that is equal to phi is equivalent to tau ph by QD into J minus JTH. So energy density U and photon density phi are related by U is equal to 5 into h bar omega. So the energy density U and optical intensity I are related by I is equal to U Vg comma Vg, that is equal to group velocity of light in medium. So the optical power generated P is equal to IWD, that is equal to W tau ph Vg h omega divided by Q into J minus JTH, where W is the width of the active layer. External differential quantum efficiency. So the external differential quantum efficiency eta external of the laser diode is defined as the number of photons emitted per radiative electron hole pair recombination above the threshold level. So it can be expressed in many ways, and the number of the photons will be denoted as eta external is equal to eta I into GTH minus alpha bar divided by GTH. Here eta I is the internal quantum efficiency, that is eta I is equal to number of photons produced in the laser cavity divided by number of injected carriers. Okay, substituting the GTH and alpha, we will get eta external is equal to eta I into 1 divided by 1 plus 2 alpha bar L divided by ln of 1 divided by R1 R2. So here this will be calculate the value of internal quantum efficiency, which is very high, ranging from 50 to 70%. So the number of photons emitted per radiative electron hole pair recombination above the threshold will give the external quantum efficiency as eta external is equal to eta I into GTH minus alpha bar divided by GTH, that is equal to Q by Eg into dP by di, that is equal to 0.8065 lambda into mu micrometer, dP of milliwatts by di of milliamps. So note that eta I is equivalent to 60% to 70%, eta external is equal to 15% to 40%. Laser resonant frequencies. To check the resonant frequencies of laser, use the lasing threshold equation as e power minus j2 beta L is equal to 1. So this condition will hold when 2 beta L is equal to 2 pi m. So that is m is equal to 1, 2, 3, where m is the integer. So we have to assume that beta is equal to 2 pi n by lambda. So the resonant frequency of mth mode is Vm is equal to mc divided by 2ln, that is m is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. So del V is equal to Vm minus Vm minus 1, that is equal to C by 2ln, that is equal to del lambda by, that is equal to lambda squared by 2ln. So next we are going to see about the laser diode structure and radiation pattern. So a basic requirement of an efficient operation of laser diode is, in addition to the transverse optical and carrier confinement between the heterojunction layers, so the current flow must be restricted laterally to a narrow stripe along the length of the laser. So the laser diodes are divided into two types. One is homojunction and another one is heterojunction. Homojunction means if the PN junction is formed by a single crystal semiconductor material, it is said to be homojunction laser diode. Heterojunction laser diode means heterojunction is an interface between the two adjoining single crystal semiconductors with different band gap energies. So the heterojunction lasers are used in communication applications. So it is divided into two types. One is edge emitting laser and another one is surface emitting laser. So edge emitting laser means it will give the laser output through the mirror end or facet. Surface emitting laser means it will give the laser output through the surface of the diode. So the edge emitting lasers are divided into two types. One is gain guided laser and another one is index guided laser. So gain guided laser, it means the fabrication of multimode injection lasers with a single or small number of lateral modes is achieved by use of the stripe geometry. So in these structures, the electrode stripe runs along the length of the diode. So the injection of electrons and holes into the devices can alter the refractive index of active layer directly below the stripe. So these layers can emit optical powers which will exceed 100 milliwatt. So they have strong instabilities and have high astigmatic. So next one is index guided, means these devices have been fabricated to operate the various wavelengths with a single lateral mode. So more stable structures are used. So here Dielectric waveguide structures are fabricated in lateral directions. So the variations in the real refractive index of various materials structures can control the lateral modes in the laser diodes. So it has divided into four types, that is multi-mode, single mode, positive index waveguide and negative index waveguide. So here multi-mode positive index waveguide laser diodes means here the central region of the active region has higher refractive index than the outer regions. And negative index waveguide laser means it has a central region of active layer and has the lower refractive index than the outer regions. Next one is index guided laser structure. So the index guided laser structure can use any one of the four fundamental structures, that is buried heterostructure, selectively diffused construction, varying thickness structure and bent layer configuration. Let me see one. So first one is buried heterostructure. So in this buried heterostructure, the strong index guiding along the junction plane can provide improved transverse mode control in the injection layers. So this can be achieved using buried heterostructure device in which the active volume is completely buried in a material of wider band gap and lower refractive index. So the several designs have emerged, including the ridge waveguides and the buried heterostructure designs. So typically the threshold currents lie in the region of 10 to 20 milliamps for buried heterostructure lasers with active regions a couple of microns wide. So this configuration is confined to the generated light in the lateral waveguides. A number of variations of this fundamental structure have been used to fabricate the high performing laser diodes. Next one is selectively diffused construction. So a chemical dopant such as zinc for gallium aluminum arsenide lasers and cadmium for indium gallium arsenide phosphor lasers is diffused into an active layer below the metallic contact stripe. So the dopant will change the refractive index of active layer to form a lateral waveguide channels. So this will help for selectively diffused construction. Next one is varying thickness structure. A channel is etched into the substrate. The layers of crystals are then regrown into the channel, which is using the liquid phase epitaxy. So thickness of active and confining layer gets varied. So the high thickness area will act as a positive index waveguide of higher refractive material. The last one is bent layer configuration. So in this bent layer configuration structure, the wide substrate. So the semiconductor material layers are grown onto this structure using the vapor phase epitaxy to exactly replicate the MESA configuration. So the active layer has a constant thickness with lateral bends. So the lower index material will outside the bends confine the light along this lateral channel. The next one is current confinement methods. So in addition to confining an optical wave to the narrow lateral stripe to achieve the continuous high optical output power, one also needs to restrict the drive current tightly to the active layer. So there are four basic current confinement methods. They are preferential dopant diffusion, proton implantation, inner stripe confinement and the regrowth of back biased PN junctions. So in each method, the device architecture will block the current on both the sides of the lasing region. So this achieved either by high resistivity regions or by reverse biased PN junctions. So which will prevent the current from flowing while the device is forward biased under the normal conditions. So for structures with continuous active layer, the current can be confined either above or below the lasing region. So these diodes are forward biased so that the current travels from p-type to the n-type regions. Preferential dopant diffusion. So in this method, partially diffusing a p-type dopant through n-type capping layer establishes a narrow path for current. So this will diffuse the p-n junction blocks the current outside the diffused region. So next one is proton implantation. So this method will create the region of high resistivity, thus restricting the current to a narrower path between these two regions. The next one is inner stripe confinement. So this technique will grow the lacing structure above the channel etched into the planar material. The last one is regrowth of a back biased PN junctions. So in this technique, it will restrict the current on both sides of the channel when an active layer is discontinuous. As in a buried heterostructure, the current can be blocked on both sides of the mesa by growing the PN junctions that are reverse biased when the device is operating. So the laser diodes can use the more than one current confining techniques. Quantum well lasers. So in the recent years, the diffused heterostructure lasers have been fabricated with very thin active layer thickness of around 10 nanometer instead of typical range for the conventional DH structures. So the following are the limitations in DH. They are modulation speed, line width of the device and threshold current density here. So in this structure, the thin active layer will causes the drastic changes to the electronic and optical properties in comparison with the conventional DH laser. They are single quantum well laser. So it means both the single quantum well corresponding to the single active region and multi-quantum well corresponding to the multi-active regions lasers have been fabricated. So next one is multiple quantum well laser. So in this ladder structure, the layers will separate the active regions called barrier layers. So the parameters del Eij represents the allowed energy level transition which will lead to the photo emission. So the multiple quantum well laser have a better optical mode confinement, so which will result in the lower threshold current density for these devices. So the wavelength of output light can be changed by adjusting the layer thickness D. So a substantial amount of experimental work has been carried out by multiple quantum well lasers using the aluminum gallium arsenide or gallium arsenide material system. So the next one is modified multi-quantum well laser. So it means when the band gap energy of barrier layers differs from the cladding layer in a modified multi-quantum well laser device, it is usually referred to as the modified multi-quantum well laser. Advantages. So it will allow the high gain at low carrier density and it will provide the possibility of significantly lower threshold currents. It is also narrow line width and it has a higher modulation speeds. It also has a lower frequency chirp and also the less temperature dependence. Thank you.